embarrassing.
And it was probably about 5 years ago. Demitri has an appetite. And President had made a few pies from scratch. And we had invited a few people over, and it was after Thanksgiving, and we're by the piano, and my wife's playing some music, some Christmas carols, and all of a sudden, Demitri goes up to me and says, Dad, my stomach really hurts. So I pick him up and I said, what is it? And I said, drink some water, you'll be okay. So he drank some water. He came back, and I said, Demitri, are you feeling better? He goes, I'm feeling better. So we're singing a few songs. Well, as we're singing the songs, I look over, and the pies, someone had already kind of dove into the pies. So I'm putting one to one. I said, maybe Demitri had a pie. So Demitri comes back, says, Dad, my stomach really hurts. So I hold him. He's like, my stomach really hurts, so I have a glass of water. I said, drink some water, you'll feel better. So he drinks a little water, and he said, my stomach, I feel a little better. And I said, did you have some pie? He goes, I had a little pie. So we're singing now and having a nice, beautiful Thanksgiving. All of a sudden, about 5 minutes later, Demitri goes, Dad, I need a volunteer. Okay, come over here. You can come here. So now all of a sudden, now you be me, okay, and I'll be Demitri. Okay, I'll be Demitri. So all of a sudden, Dad, I don't feel too good. Okay, what's the line I used?
Here, drink some water.
Okay, Dad, try to drink a little water.
Are you feeling better?
I think so. Oh! And all of a sudden, Demitri, he misses the piano, misses all the guests. He just throws up from my beard all the way down. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. So,
The Holy Trinity.
I didn't throw Demitri, I just gently put him down, and I said, excuse me. I went and took a shower and changed my clothes. That's a true story. So when you see Demitri, that's the famous Thanksgiving.
Ask him if he wants a pie.
Ask him if he wants some pie.
Have some water. You'll feel
Serious story. This is actually, it's not too serious. Actually, there's a little humor. But this is a true story of a saint who will definitely, we consider him, he's not yet a saint, but we consider him, definitely he was a very holy man. And you may have heard about the saint in some of your classes, some of your Sunday school, or some of your Bible studies. And I know I've shared it with some of our young people here. A saint who died not too long ago, his name was Elder Porphyrios. And there's some beautiful stories, and I encourage you, many of his stories, his books now have been translated into English. And an amazing life. And just to briefly tell you a little bit about Father Porphyrios, he was from a very young age, he wanted to serve God. He wanted to serve God. He came from a very, very poor family. This is in Greece now. And he struggled. And he went to Mount Athos. He was a very young man. I mean, probably, was he a teenager? I don't think he was, maybe he was 15 or 16 when he went to Mount Athos. And he wanted to serve God. And he felt called to be a monk. And he got there because, talk about, he really wanted, even back then, what was going on in the world, he didn't want to, again, with our theme, to conform, but he really wanted to live a life of transformation. Well, it was sad because he had some health problems. And here's this very pious, very kind man, and he wants to live his whole life now in Mount Athos, serving and praying. He has to leave Mount Athos. Actually, his spiritual fathers feel that the best thing for him is he needs to go back into the city. And he's very sad. Here he is now, he's a monk, he's a priest, and he's leaving really what he feels is his dream, to live a life in Mount Athos. So now here he is in Athens. He's in this big city, and talk about, a fish out of water. What's he going to do? So here he is living in Athens, not too long ago. He only died just not too long ago, and no one really wants to give him the time of day. When you look at him, he's a monk. He doesn't fit in the city. We're like, what's this monk priest doing in the city? Well, he ends up going to a hospital. He goes to a hospital, and he feels that maybe he should serve the hospital. Well, it wasn't very easy. They didn't want to give him the time of day. Well, to make a long story short, he ends up getting a job as the hospital chaplain, the priest at the hospital. And I believe, this is amazing, he stayed at the hospital and worked and served for 42 years. 42 years. And you know we don't know all the details, but some believe he never left the hospital. He didn't have an apartment. He didn't have a house. Where do you think he stayed? He would go sometimes, he'd sleep on the floor. He'd sleep in a chair. He'd sleep in an empty room or a janitor's closet. They don't know. For 42 years, and he would visit people who were very sick. And even the nurses and the doctors, they fell in love with him. They fell in love in regard to, I mean, they knew that he was a very special man, a very, very kind man. Well, for 42 years, think about it. And one little story that I want to leave you with, because again, his whole life is about transformation. And how he, because of his life, because of his example, he touched and transformed others. There's a beautiful story, and this again, it's kind of funny. Father is not only serving the hospital, but he's also visiting churches, and he's blessing homes. Like many of you, you have your priest bless your homes. Well, it was during that time of the season of blessing homes. And so he's in a part of Athens. And if you've ever been to Athens, Greece, Athens is a big city. It's, it feels like you're in LA or New York. Well, he gets lost, disoriented, and he ends up in a pretty bad section of Athens. And all of a sudden, he's knocking on a gate, thinking that it's kind of a complex, looks like little apartments, and he's preparing himself to bless the homes. And all of a sudden, a woman comes down, and she's dressed kind of sexy. And to make a long story short, this woman now she's Father's, sees this woman, and she said, "Oh, Father, you're in the wrong place. You don't need to come here and bless this place." Well, Father, all of a sudden now, he looks, and the doors start opening, and all of a sudden, women start coming out of the little complex. And do you think these women, what do you think these women do for a living?
Oh.
Stuff.
Prostitutes. They're prostitutes. Now listen now, I know you're smiling, but listen. Now, what do you think, Father Porphyrios? Do you think he left and said, "Scandala, I'm leaving"? Do you think he left? No. Do you think he threw tomatoes at him? No. Yes. Did he invite him to a luau?
Yes.
No.
I can't evangelize.
Now, this is interesting. The woman now, who is probably, I don't know, in charge of the hookers, whatever that's. On a serious note, she said, "Father," because Father now has a blessing cross, and he has his prayer book, and the woman says, "Father, you should leave. No one here is worthy of that cross." And Father responds, "Well, I don't know. And perhaps maybe you're not worthy of this cross, but perhaps maybe the women are beyond this gate. So please allow me to enter the gate and bless this place." So Father now, imagine, here's this little monk priest. He enters, and imagine now here's this area, kind of an open, almost probably like an open area like this. And these women now come out, and I think he describes them as these women were decorated with many colors. And Father proceeds to offer the service of blessing. And he prays